For the latest on ground in Ukraine, we can cross live to the capital, Kyiv, where Associated Press Correspondent Josef Federman joins us now. Thanks for joining us on Newsday. Can you tell us what's happening in Kyiv right now? We've seen pictures of streets jammed full of cars as people try to leave, as the reality of a country now at war sunk in fully.
Yes, I don't know if you could hear, just as you were speaking, we heard an explosion in the background, which was why I have rushed to put on this helmet. So it appears that the fighting is not stopping. Most of the action occurred early this morning before the sun came up. About 5 a.m. we heard a series of explosions in the city, continued for maybe an hour or two. Things have slowed down, and then in the past hour we've now heard 2 explosions again. Also, there are reports from across the country. Obviously, several cities were struck by Russian missiles, and reports of ground forces moving into Ukraine in several locations. So no sign that the fighting is dying down. At the same time, if you can see behind me, here in the capital, normally a very busy place, Independence Square, is almost empty. And the reason for that is because authorities have encouraged people to stay indoors. So many people are heeding the leaders' calls. They're staying home, staying indoors to keep safe. But as you mentioned, also scenes of people leaving the city, leaving the capital, long traffic jams as people try to find what they believe are safer places to be. So many people remaining indoors, but also signs of people fleeing the city.
And do you have any information on exactly how widespread this Russian invasion is? And is Kyiv directly at risk?
Yeah, in terms of how widespread, it's hard to say. Reports at locations on the northern, eastern, and southern borders of Russian ground troops coming in. If you recall, there is an estimated 150,000 Russian forces along Ukraine's various borders in positions to move in. So this potentially could become a large-scale invasion. We don't see that right now. It seems to be fairly limited in scope, but it's not slowing down.
All right, what sort of resistance is the Ukrainian military putting up, and are there any details of casualties so far?
Yes, there are. Ukraine is claiming, Ukraine has suffered casualties. Roughly 40 people have been killed on the Ukrainian side, and Ukraine also is claiming that it has killed about 50 Russian soldiers. So we will likely see these numbers increase as the fighting goes on.
So how difficult is it to get accurate information on what's going on? You know, there's a saying that in the fog of war, the first casualty is the truth.
Yes, that's always the issue. I've covered a number of conflicts in my life, most of them in the Middle East, and now this one. And it's the same issue. It can be very difficult to get accurate information. You have conflicting sides, with each one trying to push its own narrative. Rumors tend to fly around during wartime, and social media has made it even worse, where people just spread stories and photos, and it's very easy for things to either be exaggerated or misinterpreted or whatever, and that's our job. Our job is to kind of cut through all of the noise and get to the bottom of things and figure out what is factual and what is hearsay.
And how are the communications? Is internet still working around there? And the journalists, are they able to continue to operate, or is there some kind of concern that the Russians will shut things down and control what the world sees and actually hears?
Yeah, that's definitely a concern. We don't see signs of that happening now. The only thing, there have been a number of hacking attacks. This is something that Russia is very good at. It's something it's done in the past. And several Ukrainian ministry websites, including, I believe, the Defense Ministry was one of them, were either shut down or slowed down heavily by these Russian hacking attacks. So that can affect the flow of information to the public. In terms of more general communications, internet, cell phones, electricity, power, we don't see any signs of anything being disrupted yet, but yes, it is something that people are concerned about.
I want to say many thanks to you, Josef Federman, for bringing us up to speed with the latest happening in Kyiv.